In the last video, I showed you how to add a layer mask just on the object itself, but a better method that you can use is one where you use something called a track mat, basically creating a new layer that will act as the mask. And this one won't rotate, you can turn it off and on. I find these to be, in terms of workflow, better. Structurally, but in terms of quickness, you can work with the layer mask a little bit more. But the problem with the layer mask directly on the layer is you can't turn it off and on. So to do a track mat layer mask, you have to create a new blank layer. And to do that, you can right click inside here and do new solid layer. And here we can just call this one track for, or mask track for sun. And I'm just going to make it white and say OK. And notice that it gets put on top of everything. I can actually turn that off. And what I'm going to do is add in a mask on this layer. And remember, I need to have this layer selected. And I'm just going to draw a little mask on it like so. And the mask is still there. I can press M to see my mask options. And notice it has no effect yet. It has an effect on the layer if I turn it back on, but it's not affecting what's below it, because I'm going to have this layer affect the layer directly below it. So here, what I'm going to do is animate this mask to turn off this layer from the top. So again, I'm going to go up, start it off, and then jump to 5 seconds, and have this come down and block out my shape below. So we'll see this kind of starting off and then coming on and going on. And if I turn this layer back on, you'll see that it's a white shape, sort of starting out like this and slowly covering it up. To use this as a mask for the layer below, what we're going to do is we're going to need to be in this area here with mode and with track mat. You'll see TRK mat. If you're here with toggle switches and modes and you see these options, just toggle it again. And what we do is on the layer that we want the mask to be applied to, you select the mask and you say alpha mat, mask track for sun. And so now, right now, because we used white, it's showing us the inverse. So remember, white reveals and black conceals. So now it's going to show us slowly forming. So since I want the opposite, I've got two options. One, I could do subtract on the mask, and now it will animate it coming down on top of it. So we still get that spin, but we get the direction of the mask coming down from the top. Or the other way to do it, if this was add, remember, because this original layer is white, I can change this to alpha inverted, which just takes the alpha information from the top and brings it down to the bottom. And I still have the same properties here for feathering. Oh, you can keyframe it if you want. Increase the feather. There we go, it's a lot softer. And what's nice about this is, say I don't want this to start right away, I can take this layer and have it wait a few seconds. Say I didn't want to start until 2 seconds, I can now have this go, spin, and then that mask doesn't start immediately. And say I wanted to stop and just bring back everything after this point here, then what I can do is I can bring my player here, select my layer, and then hold down Alt or Option and the bracket key, and it'll cut off that layer to just end there, and it'll bring it back. So it brings it back fully. So if I only need a temporary mask, this is how I would do it. And I prefer this method to putting on another layer. You can also animate this layer because you have all the properties of transform. If I wanted this whole layer to move over time, I could do that. So I could have it rotate through like this. This is gonna get weird, but we'll see what happens. It's like slowly moving it up as it goes. And you can do a lot. It's kind of really up to you.